We all know this feeling, that gap, the space between what we know we should do and what we actually do. You want to change something, right? Maybe eat healthier, perhaps finish that big project, or learn a new skill. You've read the books, you've watched the videos, you know the steps. But action? That's harder. It's a common human struggle. This isn't about a lack of information. We are drowning in information. Knowing more doesn't automatically lead to doing more or doing things differently. If it did, we'd all be perfect, wouldn't we? The real challenge isn't knowing, it's getting started, it's staying consistent. It's bridging that frustrating gap. So, why is doing so tough? Why does our best knowledge often sit on the shelf? It's because doing takes structure. It requires more than just an idea. It demands a plan, a system, a way to move forward. Knowing is passive, doing is active. An activity needs a framework to support it. Otherwise, we just spin our wheels. This is where intentional coaching comes in. It's about building that bridge. It's about providing that missing structure. Not just any structure, though. A structure designed for purposeful action. A way to move from simply understanding to actively, effectively making change happen. Ready to explore how? Let's dive in. It's simpler than you think. What does intentional really mean? Think about it. It's about acting with purpose. It means making choices by design, not just letting things happen by accident or reacting to whatever comes your way. Intentional action is deliberate. It's thoughtful. It's about being the driver, not the passenger in your work, in your life. Many of us live in reactive mode. The email pings, we jump. The phone rings, we answer. Someone asks for something. We say yes. This isn't bad necessarily, but it's not always strategic. It's often not aligned with our deepest goals. Intentionality changes that. It asks, what do I truly want to achieve here? And how will I make that happen? Acting with intention means you're clear. You're clear on your why. You understand the desired outcome, and you choose your steps accordingly. It's the difference between drifting and steering. It's about focusing your energy, your limited time and resources on what truly matters most. This focus is powerful. So how do we become more intentional? It starts with pausing, taking a moment before you act. It involves asking better questions of yourself, of others. It requires tools and frameworks, not complicated ones. Simple ones that help you think clearly and make choices that lead you forward, purposefully. One powerful tool for intentional decision-making, it's called the double triangle. Sounds fancy, but it's quite simple. Imagine two triangles. The first triangle opens up. It expands. This is the what phase. It's about exploring possibilities, brainstorming options, getting creative. Don't filter yet, just gather. What are all the potential paths? The second triangle narrows down. It focuses. This is the so what, leading to now what phase. After exploring, you need to choose. You evaluate the options. You consider the implications. Which path aligns best with your intention? What's the most impactful next step? This triangle brings clarity and commitment to a specific action. It's about making a choice. Think of it like this. The first triangle is about divergent thinking. Go wide. Explore. What could you do? No idea is too silly at this stage. The goal is to open up your thinking, to see beyond the obvious. What are 3, 5, even 7 options? Push yourself here. The more you generate, the better your final choice. Often the best ideas aren't the first ones. The second triangle is convergent thinking. Now it's time to narrow down. So, what are the pros and cons of each option? Which one feels most resonant? Which one is most strategic? Leading to, now what will you actually do? What's the first concrete step? The double triangle guides you from broad exploration to focused action. It's decision-making by design. Intentional coaches understand this process. They don't just ask random questions. That's like throwing darts in the dark. Instead, they use structured questions, purposeful questions, designed to guide thinking, to unlock insight, and to drive meaningful change. It's a craft, a skill. These questions act like a rudder, steering the conversation and the coachee's internal processing. They help people explore their own double triangle. First, opening up their thinking. What are all the possibilities here? What else could be true? If anything were possible, what would you consider? These questions encourage exploration. They create space for new ideas. Then, coaches help narrow the focus with questions that drive clarity and decision. Of those options, which one resonates most? What's the real challenge here for you? What's one small step you could take this week? These questions aren't about giving advice. They are about empowering the other person to find their own answers, their own solutions. This structured approach is key. It ensures the conversation moves forward. It helps the coachee build awareness and take ownership of their actions. Random questions can be confusing or lead nowhere, but purposeful, structured questions, they are the engine of intentional change. They help people get unstuck and move towards their goals. So, what makes a coaching question powerful? It's not about complexity. Often the simplest questions are the best. A powerful question has a few key traits. First, it's open-ended. It can't be answered with a simple yes or no. It invites reflection and deeper thought. Think what or how, not did you. This opens up the conversation. Second, a powerful question is thought-provoking. It makes the other person pause and think in a new way. It might challenge an assumption or help them see a situation from a different angle. What are you assuming that might not be true? Or, what would your future self advise you to do? These questions spark insight. They help people learn. Third, clarity is crucial. The question needs to be easily understood. No jargon, no complicated phrasing. If the person has to ask, "What do you mean?" the question has lost some power. Keep it simple. Keep it direct. The focus should be on their thinking, not on deciphering your question. Short and sharp often works best. Finally, a powerful question is purposeful. It's asked with a clear intention. It's linked to the coachee's goal or the challenge they are facing. It helps them move forward. It's not just curiosity for curiosity's sake. It serves the coachee's agenda. This is what distinguishes coaching questions from just a friendly chat. They are tools for change. To ask truly powerful questions, it helps to understand levels of thinking. Bloom's taxonomy offers a great framework. It outlines different cognitive skills, from basic recall to complex creation. Coaches can use this to tailor questions and help people think more deeply. Let's look at the levels with simple examples. First is remembering. This is about recalling facts and basic concepts. For example, what are the key tasks for this project? Or, when is the deadline? This is foundational knowledge, important but just the start. Next is understanding, explaining ideas or concepts. For example, can you explain why this step is important? Or, what does this feedback mean to you? Then comes using or applying knowledge to a new situation. For example, how can you use what you learned from last time here? Or, what's an example of how you could apply this? Next, analyzing, breaking information into parts to explore relationships. For example, what are the pros and cons of this approach? Or, what patterns do you notice in your study habits? This level encourages critical thought. Higher still is evaluating or judging in older versions, justifying a stand or decision. For example, which of these options do you think is best and why? Or, how would you rate the success of this strategy? And finally, creating, generating new ideas, products, or ways of viewing things. For example, what new approach could you design to tackle this? Or, how could you combine these ideas to make something better? Coaches use these levels to stretch thinking and foster growth. Cognitive skills are vital, but so is emotional investment. This is where the taxonomy of personal engagement comes in. It helps us understand how people connect with an idea, a goal, or a change, from initial interest to deep internalization. Coaches can also use this to foster commitment, not just compliance. Let's explore these stages. It starts with interest. The person shows curiosity. They are willing to pay attention. Coaching example. What about this goal sparks your curiosity? Or, what makes you want to learn more about this? This is the entry point, the first flicker of connection. Without interest, engagement is unlikely. It's the hook. Next is engaging. The person actively participates. They ask questions, they explore. Coaching example. What questions do you have about this process? Or, what are your initial thoughts on how to approach this? Then, committing. The person makes a decision to act. They take ownership. Coaching example. What specific action will you commit to this week? Or, what resources will you allocate to this? Further along is internalizing. The change becomes part of their values. It feels natural, not forced. Coaching example. How does this new habit align with who you want to be? Or, how does this goal reflect your core values? Then, interpreting. The person makes personal meaning of the change. They connect it to their broader life. Coaching example. What does achieving this mean for you personally? Finally, evaluating on a personal level. The person reflects on the value and impact of the change in their life. Coaching example: how has this change impacted your overall well-being? Or, what have you learned about yourself through this journey? This taxonomy helps coaches nurture not just the what and how, but also the why and for whom, leading to more sustainable change. Let's see these frameworks in action. Imagine a student, Sarah, struggling with exams. She knows she needs to study. There's that knowing versus doing gap. A coach might start with Bloom's remembering what topics are on the exam, understanding, can you explain the main concept of Chapter 3? Using, how can you apply this formula to a new problem? This builds her cognitive skills, step by step. Then the coach uses personal engagement, interest. What part of this subject do you find most interesting? Engaging, what study methods have you tried or thought about? Committing, what specific study blocks will you schedule this week? Internalizing, how will doing well in this course help your future goals? Sarah moves from knowing she should study to creating a structured, engaged plan. She starts to see studying not as a chore, but as a path to her larger aspirations. Now consider Mark, aiming for a health goal. He wants to lose weight. He knows about diet and exercise, but he struggles with consistency. A coach using Bloom's analyzing. What are the biggest obstacles to your healthy eating? Evaluating. Which exercise plan seems most sustainable for you, and why? Creating, what's one new healthy recipe you could try this week? This helps Mark think strategically, not just wishfully, and with personal engagement interest. What motivates you to want to achieve this health goal right now? Committing, what is one small change you are ready to make to your diet today? Internalizing. How does being healthier fit with the kind of life you want to live? Combining these frameworks is powerful. Bloom's builds the how-to skills. Personal engagement builds the want-to drive. Together, they bridge the knowing-doing gap. Knowledge alone doesn't change performance. Structured application, driven by intention and engagement, does. This is the core of effective coaching. It fosters understanding, commitment, and real, lasting change, far beyond just knowing what to do. So a final question for you. What in your life needs more intentional structure?